Good morning, everyone. We begin with chanting in universal well-being. May I abide in well-being, in freedom from affliction, in freedom from hostility, in freedom from ill will, in freedom from anxiety, and may I maintain well-being in myself. May everyone abide in well-being, in freedom from hostility, in freedom from ill will, in freedom from anxiety, and may they maintain well-being in themselves. May all beings release from all suffering, and may they not be parted from the good fortune they have attained. When they act upon intention, all beings are the owners of their action, and inherit its results. Their future is born from such action, companion to such action, and the results will be their home. All actions with intention, be they skillful or harmful, of such acts will be the heirs. So, good morning again. Today we have a day number 8, our noble friendship exploration, and day 8 of the pod, those who participate the retreat. And you can notice some progression. And when we started with day 1, the main theme was befriending ourselves, kind of reconnecting with our heart, kind of establishing unconditional care, and kind of deepening this with, I can say this was the kind of psychological, emotional sensibility, and it was kind of anchor and grounded in the body. It was the embodied friendliness, and from me we bring this insight, this sensibility into relations, right? We try to connect with others with the same unconditional care. So we have me, we, and today's kind of interesting shift. So we kind of noticing that me or someone, what we see, is not just autonomic, individual, separated monad, right? We are the sum of, I can say, different influences. We are co-created form, shaped by many generations. If we look at in the past, influenced by our parents, our friends, our teachers, back to grandparents, and we can, as far as we can look, it's very deep and broad lineage when we are part of as humans. And it's, of course, a lot to be grateful for. And there are some parts what we can carefully look and maybe they need to be healed, need to be taken care of. It's a kind of a new concept in psychology, with this generation trauma, for instance. And it's interesting, one of the articles talking about the why philosophy, when it's very present in Indian Native Americans culture, was they call the 7-generation philosophy, that many Indians, Native Americans feel a deep connection with the first Indians on this earth, or the walk on this earth. It's a kind of continuity, and that we are deeply connected for many, many generations in the past, but also we have a connection with those who are unborn yet. That we are shaped and formed by actions and behavior with those who are before us, and what we do also count. It's have a huge footprint in the future's lives, environment, and so forth. So we are in the web of relations. And I spoke a little bit about my recent visit to my country, to my home city. It was a quite short visit, but very, very rich. And I definitely, one of the flavor of this visit was the reconnecting of web of relations. Have a chance to meet my parents, my different family members, few friends. Even at one point I was invited to speak to students in university when I graduated from. So it was another interesting kind of connecting to these places and people who deeply influence myself. But what was unexpected in this visit, when besides, of course, the processing my connection with my dying grandma, is another part. What I kind of felt and I feel deep connection with peoples who I never met and lived before in my hometown. I'm talking here about the Jewish community. Before the Second War, it was the 70% of population of the city when I lived. It was very vibrant, very alive community. You probably more often heard the Yiddish language, what is the mostly used by Jews at the time in Poland, in the East and Central Europe. Then Polish language. Every Friday evening on the streets you can smell the cooked dishes for the Sabbath, the next holy day. It was many schools. It was 100 active synagogue in my home city. And everything drastically changed in 1941. And exactly it was 27 of June when the Germans came, and it was the part of Barbarossa, if you study in history, when the Germans decided to attack the Soviet Union at the time. And the first act would happen in my home city, that police battalion number 309 from the Ordnung Polizei surrounded the city square by the great synagogue and forced all residents to come into the streets. In this protest, many of them were shot and forced to move and lock into the great synagogue, which was set up onto fire, and 2,000 men and women and children was burned to death in this great synagogue. And this was kind of a beginning of horror, what's met Jewish community mainly, but of course Polish and others too. And I decided to visit one, it was kind of monument in the city center. It's difficult to find that. Actually, it's close to, between the new kind of building of the insurance company and kind of regular block of flat is the statue, which is the reconstruction of dome from the synagogue, and is this kind of dedication plaque that reminding that 2,000 people was burned and killed in this place. And I came there, stepped alone in this kind of sunny autumn afternoon with my beads, recite the Heart Sutra and rebirth mantra, and try to kind of connect with these people, and I kind of feel some relation to that which they form and lived in the place when I was born, and kind of empathize, kind of connect to this strategy of this very humans who are have to force to experience kind of unprecedented suffering. And also I went to another place, so the rest of the 50,000 of Jews was forced in a very small district of another part of the city. And after 2 years, it was formed the ghetto. And after 2 years of to be in the ghetto, it was signed up by Himmler and Hitler, that another historical fact, the Reichardt action, when the Germans decided to liquidate all the ghettos and send all Jews to concentrations and death camps. And all my Jewish community from my home city, 50,000 of them was sent to concentration camp, to Majdanek, to Auschwitz, and 100 kilometers far, the extermination camp Treblinka. Interesting, one of they call the Holocaust train was sent. It was 1,200 children sent to kind of local concentration camp and to Auschwitz and killed. So it brings me kind of a reflection to kind of have a connecting with the part of traumatic part of the place when I was born and almost forgotten. Most people even don't remember about that, what is kind of very sad. That my reflection was, because we're talking about befriending ourselves and practicing loving kindness, and the far enemy of loving kindness is, you can say, ill will or aversion. I see this, the movement of the heart would starting with the small seed of aversion, if it's nourishing, is kind of growing, kind of seeing others as enemies, non-human even, can say this is opposite of metta, right? Can finally reach the point that we as a humans are able to kill other humans. And again, for me, it's kind of as a kind of danger, kind of warning. Be careful. Watch even these small movements in the heart. Because like every drop of metta, kind of spreading the kindness in our entire body, you can say entire world, the same like small drop of hatred fill out our bodies and spread that to entire world. The question is what we send up. So what is how we heal the trauma from the past, but it's the same how we learn the lessons from the past and how we carry on, how we use our life and affect the future generations. This is, I think, our important task and important reflection to have. Maybe I stop here. Now we have practiced 3 steps, 1 bow.
And expresses the principle, hurt people,
Right.
And heal people, heal people.
Exactly. Hurt people, heal people, heal people.
So if you can bring some loving kindness to the places in our lives and in the world that there's a lot of hurt, maybe you can start some healing. Okay, that's the 3 steps, 1 bow. Sambu Bai.